Okay, cool. So we're live or recording. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Calm Bomb podcast. I'm Raquel and I'm excited to be speaking with Lea. I found her a couple years back, and I feel like we're kindred spirits. We're both Latinas, we're both solo entrepreneurs. Well, I'm a solopreneur. She's a badass entrepreneur creating a whole enterprise. And I'm so excited to talk to her about her journey, her wisdom, experiences, where she is now. So, a brief introduction. Lea is a 3 times award winning financial educator and the founder of Riqueza Collective, dedicated to empowering the next generation of wealth builders. As a queer first generation Latina with over a decade of experience in wealth management, banking, and personal finance, Lea is on a mission to close the wealth gap for marginalized communities. A 2024 Next Gen Collective 30 Under 30 honoree, her work has been featured on CNBC, Vogue Mexico, NASDAQ, and more. Oh my God, amazing. I mean, how's that feel? Is that you? Do we need to add more spice in there?
No, I mean, isn't that crazy? I feel like when we met, I was not at this level. And reflecting back, it feels nice to hear that
Mm,
my my pivot from, being in corporate America to now entrepreneurship
wow.
is worth it. Just even
Mhm.
hearing that as a bio feels just beautiful, and I have a lot of
Oh,
gratitude.
oh my gosh. That's amazing. Well, anything else you wanted to add as far as where you are today, March 2025, maybe what you're called to do now, any pivots in your business,
Yeah.
anything else that you no
I feel
pressure.
like, I feel like I am definitely going through like a rebirth process
Mm,
post inauguration of the president. There's a lot that has changed in the business,
mm,
due to the fact that DEI measures anything that's related to ethnicity,
yeah.
even, you know, um,
Mm,
gender, all of that has really been impacting my business because our business primarily was working with Latina individuals, women,
mm,
and first gen
yeah.
and children of immigrants. And so being able to do that work is beautiful. But when right now work that we do can be attacked, we
Mm,
can be sued now. Like
mhm,
it feels mm, very hard to believe that we're in
mhm,
these states, state of minds, state of government, and
mhm,
I'm part of the resistance. So like I'm not gonna let it stop me, but I am going through a rebirth of what does Riqueza look like in the future?
yeah.
What will it hold? We have our nonprofit arm, we have our media arm,
Amazing.
and we have our coaching arm. So like what is the new rebirth will look like? Like that's what we're going through right now.
Love
And
love
I
it.
think as an entrepreneur, that's the beautiful thing. You have to learn when to pivot, what to align, what to adjust. So
Yeah.
it's been a work in progress.
My gosh. No, that is so true. So true. And I wanna, if we can, take it to the whatever beginning means to you, like whatever that getting out of corporate, or even like how did you start? I mean, I don't know what the beginning is, but like maybe we want to look back to corporate and how you started in there, and then okay, a new beginning, a new rebirth, and started your business, and then constant rebirth. But I don't know, wherever you want to start.
Yeah.
I'm so curious.
My background goes all the way back to childhood. I'm a daughter of Salvadoran immigrants. My
Mm,
parents are entrepreneurs, so my whole entire life, that's all I pretty much knew was my parents working, my parents eh, creating a better life for us through
yeah,
entrepreneurship. That was all I
yeah,
knew. Like, I
yeah.
don't honestly think that I knew
Mm,
about having a 9 to 5 due to the fact that I lived in a conservative town where they weren't
mm,
going to support immigrants and help
mm.
them get jobs. So my parents took life in their own, like
Yep,
their income in their control,
beautiful.
and started a business in landscaping and masonry. And
Amazing.
that's all I knew, entrepreneurship. And by the age of, you know, 6 years old, I was already working with my parents, helping them
Yeah.
with file
Yeah.
paperwork,
Yeah.
helping answer phones if I could, like whatever
Yeah.
I could do to help. Um,
Yeah.
I was there supporting them.
Mm.
And around the age of 11 or 12 is when I found out that we were going to lose our home and lose our
Oh.
business and um, lose what we had because of the '08 financial crisis. The '08
Mm.
financial crisis really changed like the whole game for my family.
Mm.
And I realized then that I wanted to understand money. I wanted to
Mm.
understand how can the financial system benefit me if currently it does not serve me? How can I protect my family with money? Porque en realidad uno no sabe esas cosas. Uno de primera generación isn't taught
Mm.
how to navigate this. We're figuring out for the very first time, just like our parents, and our parents are doing their best, and we're doing our best, and it just feels like, oh
100%.
crap, like I gotta learn. And I felt so young
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
responsible, to care
Mm.
for my parents, that I started even college at a young age. I started
Mm.
college at the age of 15 years old.
Wow.
I By the time I was 17, I had my diploma and an associate's degree, and I decided to study finance
Wow.
because, again, I wanted to get that root of money. And
Right.
that's what pushed me to move forward into I worked and I had an internship in wealth management. So I saw like a lot of millionaires and how they would retire and how they manage their plans, their financial plans. And then from
Mm.
there, I moved on to investment banking, which is where I spent 4 years of my career working for
Amazing.
one of the top investment banks in the US. And
Yeah.
it was a great career boost, don't get me wrong, but there was a
Mm.
lot of things that I learned about being underpaid,
Mm.
undervalued,
Mhm.
advocating for your voice, negotiating your salary. Those are things that I had to learn afterwards because I didn't do that during those times.
100%. Yeah. And then the business. And then like what was that I'm curious the undervalue because I think that's such a mm, I don't know if that's the main thing, but it's one of the big things that so many of us face. I'm also daughter of immigrants and Salvadorian, and so I hear you 100%. And like we're that's a totally different world, corporate and working white dominant cisgender individuals, and just we don't grow up in that environment, we're not taught those things. So I'm wondering, was there a moment that like, okay, I'm gonna take a risk on myself, I'm gonna, or was it just like, I'm gonna see how this goes, and then if not, I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like um with my business, I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. My whole life I just wanted financial stability. My I started out wanting to have um this sense of control with money because I never wanted to face what my parents went through.
Right.
And it got to a point during the pandemic, and I think a lot of us had this realization during the pandemic that life needed
Mm.
to feel a little bit different. Like life wasn't what life was like. It felt like we were living a lie for a really long time, and then we wake up and we're like, what?
Right.
And I
Yes.
found out that I was underpaid by $50,000, and I was like, why? I moved over to this team to get a better income, to
Mm.
move up in my career, and yet I
Mm.
had to wait another year to match my salary of those of my peers. Um, and
Mm.
my increase wasn't even at par or close to par of
Mm.
what it should be. And so
Mm.
it felt really disappointing then to go
Mm.
through I don't know, I felt like a stab in the back because
Mm. Mm.
I
Mm.
had to start a side hustle to make income. And I even told my managers, I was like, I need to make extra money. So I'm gonna start a side hustle. And then I had conflict of interest. And
Mm.
then when I found out that I had to make a decision between entrepreneurship or my job,
Mm.
I felt like all my managers, everybody around me was like,
Mm.
don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do
Mm.
it. And
Mm.
then they just sent me the link to quit. And I felt like, okay, well, I guess that's it. I guess I'm gone. And
Yeah.
I, it was a quick decision, but the decision has brought me here, right? Riqueza wasn't Riqueza then. Riqueza was a consulting company, more consulting.
Yeah.
Um, It was called Landaverde Collective at that point.
Oh,
Um, and then eventually 6 months later, like I changed it to what Riqueza is today. It used to be Riqueza Wealth Coaching, then Riqueza Collective.
grow,
And
grow.
we're now, Riqueza Collective and our other arms. But things are still changing, and I look back at that time and I'm
Mm,
just grateful that I trusted my gut, because even when you read my bio, like I said, I felt in my
yeah.
heart like gratitude, because
Mm,
there was a point that I never thought I'd be here.
mm. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, constant growth. And I think there's so much to be said about just like life is not, well, it maybe has never been, but I think us now living in these times, the whole script of like you go to school, you get a job, there's some sort of security or guarantee, like that is, I feel like not existent anymore, especially now with organizations left and right, even companies at risk, like yours and even bigger or smaller or whatever. So did you, but you, I don't know, did it help growing up in an environment of entrepreneurship that it like eased, or you felt like there was a little like semillita inside of you that like, oh, I could do it. Like if I just water this, because I'm wondering if when that like crossroads came, if it was easier or it was like thrust on you, you know?
See, when I told my parents I was going to pursue entrepreneurship, they said, I knew it. They said, I was just waiting
Um,
for you to like one
oh,
day figure out what was yours, because I want something that's yours.
mm,
And I was like, really? You guys wanted me to be a business owner my whole life? They're like, yeah, like we just wanted you to figure it out eventually. And so
oh,
it felt easy to start a business because my parents have grown up with standards and ways of doing things that I appreciated, and I still follow in my own business, like leading with integrity, honesty, transparency, and being able to just constantly give back. I saw that my whole entire life, even from my dad. And so now that I am where I am, I couldn't be more grateful for the seeds that were planted, because
mm.
they don't spread root sometimes in a year, 2 years. It takes time.
And I was gonna ask how what helped you for those. So my listeners, I think, are either starting like budding entrepreneurs, pequeñito, they're growing, or they're still in the corporate space and they're content, like they just they don't want all the responsibility or it's not for them. So what would you say to maybe the entrepreneurs who are like navigating that constant transition and they're not seeing,
Mhm.
the money, or they're not feeling seen, heard, like, what would help?
I think es la esperanza, ¿verdad? Like, the hope that you have with your business, and
Mm,
being able to recognize when to pivot and what's working and what's not working. Because
mm,
we cannot constantly push something that's maybe not serving our community the best that it should be, or maybe it could be.
right.
And we have this hope and hope and hope. And then all of a sudden in our gut, we know it's not working. So we just
Mm,
keep going. And then we lead to, that lesson of failure. And I really don't believe in failure. I believe in redirection. But
mm,
when you start seeing the thing that I have noticed that I have led with is
yeah.
transitioning when things don't align
Mm,
anymore, is
mm,
being able, and it's hard, trust me, it's ego death. It feels like,
mm, mm,
you're fighting yourself. You're like, why isn't this working? You try again, you try again. I usually
mm,
try 3 times and I'm done.
yeah.
Once 3 times I've tried it and it's just not working the way that I want it to work, all right, then
Mm,
I'm in a transition. It's time to let go and start something different. But
yeah.
as an entrepreneur, it's just learning to be in tune with your
Mm,
intuition,
mm,
understanding that your money matters, because understanding your finances and how things are flowing in and out of your business is
yeah.
going to be very crucial to make these decisions as well. Because if you're not making income and you have all these expenses,
Right.
something's not working, right? So what are we going to do to gain that revenue to protect your business and your family?
100%.
And, as an entrepreneur, it's not easy. I wouldn't say it's the easiest thing, but it's liberating,
Mhm.
because it's something that's in my control. So, like, at the end of the day, it's either I don't know enough information and I have to go learn it,
Right.
or, you know, I have to start
Mm,
applying and doing things, and and doing the work with my business, right?
Yeah.
With the
Yeah.
skills that I do have.
That's
And
right.
so it's a balance between constantly learning, because I'm a strong believer as an entrepreneur, you need to be constantly learning. I
100%.
have learned so much in the last 4 years in different sectors, from venture capital to politics
Oof.
to financial services. I've done
Mhm.
cohorts in so many different type of industries in the last four
Amazing.
years
Yeah.
because I don't want to stay stagnant, because I don't know what direction my company is going to take me. So I need to constantly learn. And that's why every entrepreneur needs to be learning, because there's sometimes things that we don't know that will benefit our business. And so for the entrepreneurs that are going through it right now, or that they're starting out, keep learning.
Mhm.
Whether it's learning how to start your business, right? Learning the tools that you have, because even a lot of the new tech tools, they have educational universities with them so that you can learn and become a subject matter expert at what you do, right?
Right.
Because you're creating a business because you're the best, or you're one of the best that can do it.
Yeah, I love that. And then the same question, but for people in corporate, like they're struggling, they
Yeah.
know that maybe the that responsibility, because it's a whole other, I think, brain and emotional thing that happens when we take on that whole I'm gonna just support myself and create this thing and constantly feed it
Mhm.
and so for those who are wanting to be in corporate because they just know that's their thing, any advice from maybe what helped you as you were advocating for yourself or now when these
Yeah.
turbulent times? I don't know.
Yes, no. If having a 9 to 5 was probably the best feeling because it felt
Mm,
stable. But what I
yeah.
didn't learn, and what I wish I knew back then, was
Mm,
that I had to understand my market value and the value that I bring to the table.
that's right.
Because I thought I was, as a child of immigrants, you're taught to be grateful for what you have,
Mm,
grateful to be in the position that you're in. And so
mm,
I felt like I was grateful to be there, and that what I was given was what I had to accept.
mhm,
And in reality, that's not the case.
right.
And I think if I were to go back and do it again, is constantly negotiating for my salary, negotiating my time and energy,
Mm,
um, and negotiating my commitment to the job. I would always give my 110%. Baby
mm,
girl, if they're not paying me 110%, I'm
that's
gonna
right.
be giving them my 50%. So that 50% looks like 100 for them.
That's right.
And because I was constantly the one overworked, like
Mm,
underpaid, because I was constantly thinking, okay, if I showed my best, they'll pay me more. And that's not
mm,
sometimes what translates out, during comp season. So it was just very important for me now, like even me looking for a 9 to 5 part time is like,
mhm.
what is my market value? What do I bring to the table? What am I
Yeah,
going to shift in this space?
yeah.
And am I valuing myself, my time, my energy correctly in this role?
Mm,
And is this role serving my higher purpose
oh,
and going to elevate my career or make me learn something that is best for me? Because I
mm,
feel like sometimes we get stagnant and we like just consistency, and we like, the
yeah,
same thing because that's what, I guess we
yeah.
feel comfortable with. But sometimes comfort is not the
Mm,
solution sometimes. It's just we get
mm.
stagnant, and I'm like, there's more to learn, there's more to grow, and there's more to elevate.
That's right. Yeah. And I feel like it's a trap that they tell us that, like, you'll be good, you'll be guaranteed safety. And, like, if you just check box this and do this, but like you said, the value isn't translated. We're not necessarily getting what we need. If people have kids, if people have to take care of their family, like, the value isn't there in that. So, no, I love what you said. Yeah.
No, yeah, if you're in corporate America, just
Mm,
make sure you know your market value. If you haven't negotiated your salary in the last year, please consider it. Please have those quarterly meetings. Please document your success. You are
mhm.
worthy. You are so worthy of more. And if you're starting a side hustle, you know, at the end of the day, I'm a believer that entrepreneurship is a form of emancipation. It's a way that we have our own economic liberation, so start, don't let your side hustle also eat you alive,
I
but
know. Yeah, true.
um make sure that you
Mm,
create something that you enjoy if it's going to be a side hustle that you enjoy.
I love it. And I wanted to, and now I'm going to ask some of the questions that I wanted to ask in the beginning, but keeping it conversational. I love it. What media, so this could be music, book, show, movie, changed or shaped your life in any way, and then how?
Girl, I was reading that question. I'm like, what changed my life?
I know that you know
Um,
about,
that I know about. I'm like, I
Mhm.
grew up watching because my
Mm.
brother loved the show Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah.
And I really love Fresh Prince of Bel-Air because I was like, there's, this kid from the hood, and he's going to live in Bel-Air, California,
Mhm.
and go to this proper school and have to act proper and have to act all,
Yeah.
sophisticated, and just how different it is to code
Yeah.
switch. And I feel like I still
Mm.
watch it today when I'm having a bad day or when I'm not feeling
Mm.
well. I'll watch Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Oh,
It's just like a comfort show for me, and because there wasn't a lot of Latino TV like that, right?
that's so.
So for me watching it, like unless I want to watch like the Cheetah Girls or something.
I know, I know, I love it. Yes, please.
But like going back to my childhood, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air really was the only thing that I felt connected with, of just
Yeah.
like these two identities. And I don't know, I feel like it shaped a little bit about me because I wanted more, the
Mm,
same way that Will wanted, he still wanted to be himself, but he did want
yeah,
more because Uncle Phil wanted more for him, you know?
yeah.
And so I always wanted more, and I still, I deserve more. And I feel like that has always pushed me forward, is knowing that I deserve to have a life that people would say
Mm,
I don't deserve
mhm,
statistically,
mm,
systemically, but I deserve a good, thriving, well-off life because I've worked hard. I've worked hard, and with or without degrees, I have worked so
mm.
hard to build a brand and name for myself that no matter what, we deserve more in life.
I love it. I love it. And I will, I don't know if push back on it, but I don't even know if it's like a deserve, but it's like we all need it. Like basic
Mhm.
needs need to be met, like regardless of, because I think sometimes about people who maybe are refugees or like coming from totally other situations and don't even have the access to stuff that I have, that some other people have. And that I've, even as a first generation, I still feel like, damn, I was born on the right side of the border because all the opportunities that I was afforded that maybe other cousins and family members weren't, because they weren't able to because of whatever reason. And it's like we all just need our needs met. Like being a human being, you don't see a plant asking for sun. Like the sun is just given to that plant. Uh,
Mhm.
you know so I, not to take anything away, but just wanted to
No,
add that.
I agree. Like, I do think we all need stability, security, and legacy to leave, but we define what that looks like. You know what I mean?
Mm,
But
mm,
I feel like sometimes we get, what's the word? It's stagnant. Sometimes we just keep the cycle going, and we're still settling for less. I
yeah.
don't think we need to settle.
No, 100%, 100%. Because we've been taught that. I feel like that's the system. It's just like, this is all you got to do, and then you're good. And it's like, but we don't even know what good is for us, or we don't even know what
Mhm.
good could be. So you talked about Fresh Prince. Anything else? I'm just curious. Like,
Anything else? I'm like trying to think about my childhood, girl. I'm like, girl, that's so long ago.
because that's where the good stuff is, right? Childhood.
Right. I know about books, show, music.
Mm,
I love Rihanna.
okay.
Rihanna was someone that her music just got my, I love R&B at my core.
Mm,
But
yeah.
also seeing how she's become a multi-billionaire, um, or
Mm,
self-made billionaire, and did it through having multiple businesses under her
mm,
Fenty brand, right? Fenty Beauty, Fenty, Savage X Fenty, right? Or she even had a luxury brand at one point, and knowing that it didn't work for her, but she still
yeah.
pivoted.
Yeah.
Fenty with Puma, Fenty with this.
Yeah.
She's acted, she's sang, she's a mother now. Like, it's just very
Yeah.
business mogul of her,
Mm,
and she has really, just even seeing her success, I'm like, wow, okay, she's an immigrant. She's not from
yeah.
here.
100%.
But she built her life, you know, and she's doing it, she's now,
Yeah.
with ASAP Rocky and two babies in, it's crazy.
No,
I
it's
talk
true.
about them like I know them, but
They live vicariously through that, or like they're role
yeah.
models. Yeah, yeah. And what was I gonna say? There was a thought before it escapes me, but like there's so many possibilities, like what you just said about, we don't need to settle, and we're figuring things out, I think, constantly as each one of us grows and evolves and next, I don't know, version of ourselves. But it's like she seems to like keep the constant box open, like possibilities are constantly possible, and I think that's something that's not taught for us or people. So yeah, what experiences, one of the questions I had for you was, experiences shaped your path or business? I know we talked about the beginning, but like anything that you go back to, and maybe this is a practice, maybe this is a framework, but like what are things that help you trust yourself? I know you talked about like testing things 3 times, but like how do you know in yourself to do that? Like what is like the check-in? Because
The
it's
intuition. I think the
yeah.
intuition, mastering and understanding your intuition and knowing,
Mm,
following, sometimes your heart and your brain don't communicate well, right?
mm,
But your gut will tell you what you need and where you're aligned and not aligned.
mm,
And I feel like I have been able to master my intuition. And sometimes I question her too. Don't get me wrong.
oh
My
yeah,
logic, my brain is like, that doesn't make sense. You
right.
know, but even like spirituality, like you will feel it. You will feel when it's connected. You will feel when
Mm,
it's right for you. And I feel genuinely like
mm,
my intuition is what's helped me keep going forward and know what's next, but also lead with discernment. Know and lead with like conviction. Say things because you know it, right? Like because you know what's best for you. You know what doesn't serve you.
mm,
You set those boundaries. Like I feel like as an
mm,
entrepreneur, it's still hard, don't get me wrong, being like a human and an entrepreneur. But
right.
I think at the end of the day, it's so important that we
Mm,
we lead with conviction. Like we have, like if we believe this, believe it hard.
mm, mm,
Don't let anybody else's values or things project onto you. You know what I
mm.
mean? Because in this world right now, there's just a lot of chaos.
Oh
There's just a
gosh.
lot of energy being sent all ways, and just set your boundaries and focus on you and your family and your happiness and your joy. And it's
Mm,
not selfish, but because I'm a strong believer right now, like we have to take care of ourselves. And if that means focusing on our family, so be it. And then
okay.
if you have more energy to give, if you're stuck at home right now, consider
Mm,
what's going on. Go hang out in community, go work with your nonprofits, go volunteer, go
mm,
support and organize. Right now is the time to do that if you feel that way, if you feel
right.
stuck. But at
Right.
the end of the day, taking care of your needs is a priority during these times.
Mm. No, that is so true. And I think that's like the hardest part, is trusting ourselves. And because I think we're constantly, or maybe not, maybe I don't want to speak for everyone, but I think it's easier in some ways to check out, to be like on
Mm.
Instagram, on this, on that, and we're not even in
We're
tune.
just watching, we're just like
Yeah.
doom scrolling.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, doom scrolling.
So yeah, it's hard. And it's like, so in those moments of, lead with, I love it, lead with conviction. What um are tangible things, I guess? Like, is it, at least for me, I don't take the phone with me to my bedroom. I have a hard boundary about that. I don't take it with me Sunday through, like, all days. I don't do it, because I know that if I take the phone in the morning, I will scroll, or it
Mm,
will not let me wake up on time or whatever.
mm.
So are there things that you're doing like physically doing to assert boundaries,
Yeah,
to play, pleasure, joy, like all the
yeah. Well, one thing that's really important to me is also that phone usage. I mean, it's still hard because a lot of my life is like on this phone.
I know.
I have two phones. I have a personal and I have a business phone. And at the end of the day, my goal is like, okay, if I am not
Mm.
if I am not working, if I'm not in this space mentally,
Mm.
I don't need her.
Mm.
She can
Mm.
be put here in my desk and I don't need her. Then I have my personal phone. And like
Mm.
even last night, I left her in the kitchen because I was like, I want to wake up naturally. I want to wake up con
Yeah.
ganas. I don't want to wake up and look at my phone también. Pero
Uh-huh.
igual, I think also these boundaries that I set for myself is like, I want to make sure that I go out and enjoy community because I don't want to feel stuck at home.
Right.
I need to make sure that I'm doing something for my community because that will
Mm.
make me feel better, right?
Yeah.
Because I can easily doom scroll and get anxiety and feel like
Mm.
everything's falling apart and feel like I have control over, or feel like I don't have control over a lot of things.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
when I'm in community, I'm reminded everything's going to be okay.
Mhm.
Everything's gonna work out, we're doing the work. Even right now, like the thought of our parents, protecting our parents.
Mm.
We only have so much to do, we only can do so much, we can only, like, we can't save the world. We're humans. And so being able to just constantly remind yourself that, hey, todo va a estar bien, el mundo no se acaba,
Mhm.
uno todavía tiene tiempo para su propia vida y
Right.
que pues en realidad it's our mental health, our body, our mind.
Mm.
We have to take care of it first, and it's hard, girl. Like even picking up a book, like I have like recently I finished the Four Agreements. This is a book that I've been, it was just like a life book that I think everybody needs to read.
Yeah.
The Four Agreements are so important. It's like,
Mm.
be impeccable with your word. Don't take
Mm.
anything personally. Don't make
Mhm.
assumptions. And
Mm.
always do your best are the four agreements that this book
Oh.
talks about. And it feels so good to read it. And it's based on like indigenous practices.
Mm.
But I just feel like
Mm.
as long as you're trying to do your best, you're trying to be the best version of you every day, and you speak out for what you believe in, and
Mm.
don't silence your beliefs in these times. It feels like we have to. But,
Mm.
it takes time. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time to get to this point and state of mind. But
Yeah.
it starts with like is reading a book, uh,
Mm.
and feeling like you have some sort of knowledge that you want to apply in yourself, and
Yeah.
um, taking up space,
Mm.
in community.
Mm.
And self-care is especially radical self-care, because during these times we can't lose our joy.
No,
So it's
that's right.
radical to even have self-care because,
Mm.
during these times it feels nearly impossible to take care of ourselves. So
Yeah, that's right.
take that time to rest, take that time to disconnect, take that time to do a self-care, face mask day,
Yeah.
doesn't have to be crazy expensive,
No,
girl.
right.
We balling on a budget. So
No, I know. That's right. Just get like Epsom salt from the dollar store and just chill
Mhm.
out. Or not even, just go for a walk, whatever it is.
Yeah, get some sun.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, I just wanted to end with I mean, all of that felt like mic drop. So I'm like, should I end it there? But the last question is like, do you have any recommendations, right? I know we've been talking right now, but I guess like um I guess I don't want to keep asking like right now. I guess like as it's hard to plan for the future, it's always been hard to plan for the future, but even now more so.
Mhm.
Um, any, I don't know, last thoughts, pearls of wisdom that you would like that maybe we haven't shared or that you would like to like expand on, or yeah, I don't know, just to like
Yeah,
end.
I
Yeah.
think right now is the time for financial security and protection. I haven't really talked about money the way that I wanted to, because it's been a sweet conversation, a very intuitive conversation. But now is the time for financial security and financial protection. Now is
Mm.
the time to put yourself first and your money in your bag first, and be able to recognize Are you
Mm,
guys safe right now during these times? Do you have an emergency fund?
right.
Is it in a high yield savings account? Are you paying off your debt? Do you have debt to worry about? Are you investing for your future? Um, do you have a will or estate plan ready for you and your family if you have kids? Like, these are all valid questions right now because a lot of people are considering leaving the US during these times. And so creating an exit strategy of what that potentially, like, what's your last straw,
Yeah.
to consider safety for your family.
Yeah.
So I think it's so important to protect yourself financially by,
Mm,
you know, caring about your money, caring about your finances,
mm,
protecting yourself. That is going to be key during
mm,
these times. And so, my pearl of wisdom
yeah.
is do not forget about your bag, baby girl. Your bag matters. I have at Riqueza, we have free budgeting templates.
Love it.
We
Yes.
have a free WhatsApp community. You can text us if you have any questions, any resources you want us to build for you. We will build it, anything that we don't have, at least, and
Mm,
just, we have a protect the bag guide that I created. It has over, I think, like over 50 pages of just
mm,
education and foundational knowledge that you'll need to protect your finances, from mindset all the way to investing and children planning. So it has a lot of information in there. And
love it.
I have a free masterclass that people can watch about planning palante.
Mm,
So it's a masterclass for people to plan their future during these times. So if they
love
need any help, there's those resources.
I love it. And then just to expand on that, what would you say are like is a sweet spot? Everybody has coming from different situations financially and stuff, but what would be a good sweet spot for like savings? What would be a good sweet spot if people
Yeah.
are still investing or like anything like that?
Yeah. I like to say, like, we should be saving at least a minimum of 10% of our income every single month. Our goal is to have an emergency fund that has 3 to 6 months of our living expenses in a high yield savings account that we have access to. Why? Because if you lose your job, at least you're covered for 3 to 6 months, right? It might take a while to save that much, or maybe you already have built your savings, but it's so
Mm,
important that we continue to set money aside for ourselves and prioritize ourselves. And so that 10% is a minimum, right? But
mm,
also, if you have more capacity to save and invest, well, invest in
mm,
your future. I think,
mm,
the stock market is a great tool to invest in for the future.
mhm,
We're not talking about today. We're not talking about tomorrow. We're not talking about a year from now. We're talking about 20 years from now. Okay. The stock market can help secure a retirement plan for you and your family. So that is another thing. If you have, another 5% to dedicate there, or 10%, there's
mm,
this rule called 50/30/20, which you can adjust and customize to your own needs. But 50% it goes to your essentials, 30% goes to your needs, and that 20% goes to your savings and
mm.
investments.
I
And if
love
you
that.
have debt, that's okay.
Yeah,
We can do all three, and we can have 5% to pay off debt, 5% to save,
yeah.
another 5% to invest, right? So finances are personal. There's no right or wrong answer. The goal is
Yeah.
that you're doing something about it, though.
I love that. No, and then one more follow-up because we are gonna hit on some finance stuff now that we're opening that a little bit. Debt. So student debt or loan, car loan, whatever it is, where to balance that? Like,
Yeah.
is it now a good time, do you think, prioritize savings and then whatever they gotta do to like, I don't know. What do you
Yeah, I think financial security is the priority. Debt right now feels a little iffy with a lot of changes going on, especially from the Department of Education being completely dismantled and going under
Mm,
this SBA. Like, it makes no sense. So
mm,
I would just make sure you have a copy of your contracts with all your loans on the student loan
mm,
side. I
mm,
don't know. They say keep paying it. I just don't know. I don't know what's going to happen.
mm.
They have
Right.
breached. I mean, the Department of there's going to be lawsuits. So I don't know if paying it is the right answer right now. I
Mhm.
can't tell you. I think no
Yeah,
one
yeah.
can tell you what's right or wrong right now. It
Right.
just feels so
Mm,
crazy right now from a
yeah.
student loan perspective, and from like consumer debt.
Yeah, yeah.
Girl, if it's hitting 30% interest rate, like, our goal is to get to a 30% utilization on
Mm,
all of your debt. So let's say you have all limits, total your limits of all your debt of, like, let's say $30,000. You don't want to be more than like $9,000 of usage of that amount because it will affect your credit score. But I
Mhm.
understand that right now it's hard. Right now, living is hard. So if you can do your best to get to 30%, by all means, and using only 30% of that card, okay, and trying to pay it off. But at
Mm.
least making those minimums during these times and making sure that you have some safety net, because at the end of
Mm.
the day, our credit card is not a safety net. It is just debt.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And then, so, where can people find your resources, you working with
Yeah.
you, whatever part arm that they want to grab onto?
Yes. So you can learn everything about Riqueza at riqueza.co, riqueza.co. You'll learn about all of what we do. You can follow us on Instagram and socials at RQZA. So we have our little, my future ticker symbol is RQZA. So rqza.co for the coaching and educational
Mhm.
resources. We
Mm.
have Riqueza Foundation for our nonprofit arm that we're building up. We have Riqueza Media for news and newsletter that we send every 2 weeks on what's going on in the economy.
Yes.
And so it's super insightful. You can still read it today. If you go to media.riqueza.co, you can learn about the last few newsletters we've dropped. We've dropped two so far, and we have contributors from all over the US,
Beautiful.
adding some knowledge.
Yeah.
The all Latinas.
Yes.
And so yeah, we have a lot of things going on. And then if you want to learn more about me and my background, you can follow me at Latina Wealth Activist, or latinawealthactivist.com. So those are two of my, resources there. And I have, if you go to the link in bio, I have a lot of free stuff for you guys to watch and learn from.
This is awesome. This is amazing. Thank you for doing what you do, for keep doing what you're doing, pivoting, like all the things. Thank you for your time, your wisdom, and yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Raquel, for having me. And I'm so glad that we got to reconnect after a few
Y-
years.
I know, I know. Well, we'll still be in orbit and we'll still happy to support and send people your way, absolutely, so that they get the support. And yeah,
Oh, thank you.
so thank you all and see you all next time.